This is your daily market review for Monday, December 30th, 2024. Let's go. Hey everyone, this is my channel to help investors and traders develop a probability-based mindset to succeed. Also try and keep friends informed of what's going on in the markets and the economy, and also a little real estate content as well. This is Dan Max at eXp Realty, aka the Trading Agent. This is your daily market review for Monday, December 30th, 2024. Hopefully you had a great week. As we talked about, light volume holiday weeks, typically bullish, got some bounce, got a sell off on Friday, got a sell off this morning. Some folks took some calls at the open down near the lows. Nice trading. Again, the market is meant to be traded, in my opinion. I do think there is more downside potential in time, actually a lot more. But hey, you gotta do what you gotta do. Holiday weeks can be a little challenging, hence why I decided to take the week off. It's like, not gonna miss too much. And glad I did. Had some good times with family. I can't remember the last time I took a week off from doing these recordings. But overall, everything is to par. As we talked about, the market needs to go down if you want to see rates go down. If you also want to see overall the action in the market flush out, I think you need to get that done. Get it over with. Do the best it can do and just get it over with. Again, Trump this morning talked about how he thought maybe a 1929 moment. We've talked about they need to get rates lower. The easiest way for rates to go lower is money to come out of the market and go into bonds. We'll talk about the levels, talk about what to expect. Again, if you're new to the channel, check out the Discord room, link description below. Always here to help. Hit the Calendly link if you'd like to spend a little bit of time chatting, 30-minute one-on-one. It's free for now, but hey, you know what? It's probably going to be free for a long time because, again, I think folks, I don't mind helping folks out. If you want one session just to chat about whether market trading, need some help with some, just in general, how the markets work, don't hesitate to reach out. And again, if you're looking to buy, sell, invest in real estate and you do not hit me up, I will take it personally. Of the thousands and thousands of followers who have taken this information and run with it, I've helped dozens of people find and sell their houses all over the country, and you get 2 agents for the price of 1. Love to help you out. Don't hesitate to reach out. Let me explain how it all works. And do not work with a mediocre agent. This is the most important, maybe the most important asset you own. Do not rely on a a mediocre broker to do it. So again, also follow on Twitter, post a ton of trades. Let me know I can help. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell if you'd like to donate. Hit the thanks button. I appreciate all the donations. You can link in the description below. Let me know I can help. Also check out the website, updating the blog constantly. If you have any questions, don't hesitate, again, to reach out. Tons of information on this website. Again, get your 2025 Stock Traders Almanac. For the love of God, don't hesitate. I mean, it's worth getting. I tell people, you would have seen the bullishness last week, and you also would see what? Well, it's typically a little bit of a bearishness into the end of the month. Again, if you go look to Monday, Tuesday, for the end of the year, and then bullishness on Thursday is expected. Again, new year, new month, new money. Keep in mind, again, all this stuff in the trading room or on videos, new month, new money. It's called window dressing. If you have questions, again, don't hesitate to reach out. Always here to help. All right, watch tool. We know there's no cut expected for the next meeting. Just keep that in mind. They've done some pretty quick cuts in the market and the rates went higher, which is interesting. Bitcoin, you're welcome. We talked about fake breakout. Once you got over, came back down, now you're holding. You need to hold this 91, 92,000. And again, a lot of people get mad when we talk about this, It's not rocket science here, y'all. Big up move followed by consolidation. Worst case scenario, it's consolidation. Maybe it breaks back down into the 87 to 88,000 range. I don't know, somewhere in this area, maybe 82. You can get some wide ranges. But then after that, let's see what happens. Again, long term, if you're bullish, needs to hold up. You do have, looks like a head and shoulders top here. Be safe. Oil, as we've talked about, seems to be holding the mid 80s, 60s. Let it be. Let it be. Natty gas, all over the place, right? Check this guy out. Nice bounce. Back up to the 4s. Keep an eye on it. Because, again, some cold weather coming in. We'll see. We'll see. Again, I'd like to see it down in the 2s. If it doesn't, and I miss it, that's fine. I'm waiting for the flush out. Bonds, we talked about bottoming 2 weeks ago. This volume candle. Now look what happened. Chop, 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 chop. Now, again, this is what the market does. Chop, 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 chop during holiday weeks, potentially. Dollar, XDiv, chopping. If you essentially just bring it right back, it'd be at the highs. Nothing much really to say. Again, watching volatility in the dollar. VIX, talked about when it got up here. If it pulled back and you didn't hold the 24s, you're coming back into this 18 range. Man, you got down to 14 last week. Again, pretty wild. Looks like it's basing though. Higher lows should higher highs follow. BIVX, we talk about this, typically bottoming first, definitely. Bottom down here. Again, it's not really much to watch other than for bottoms. The tops, it's never really used it for much. But again, maybe other people found techniques I have not figured out. SPY, talked about this. Said oversold, holiday week, sells off on Friday, sells off today. Doji today, again, these gap downs looking a bit ominous. Now, again, doesn't necessarily mean we have to break this 580 plus level. That's what I'd be watching immediately, but worth a watch because again, when it does break, it's gonna get fugly. QQQ, and again, and again, Jay Solstice I was chatting with him about this, and again, just said very simply, like the pattern seems to be down at the open, up, and then selling back on down days, back towards the range lows or some sort of wick. Keep an eye on it. Again, trends are not downtrends are hard for most folks. IWM, we've talked about how IWM has been leading down. Retest the lows again, needs to hold this 218. Seems to be for now. Again, it's been leading down, hence why we expect the market to be bearish, in my opinion. DIA holding the 100-day, worth a watch. Gold, again, I like gold long term. I've said, please leave it alone. It's hard to confirm with this is the thing, silver, right? New lows. Sorry, not new lows. The miners made new lows. Back at the range lows, needs to hold this 26 area. GDX, again, we were talking about miners. Sorry for the congestion. This thing's been a bitch. Whatever's going around. New lows. GDXJ, right? New lows. I mean, junior miners should be leading up. I'll throw in Silge because it's, again, junior miners. I mean, that's an XDiv. It's 72 cents. So 72 cents would take you down to like 10 something, but still, new lows. Yikes. You go look at AEM. We talked about this one holding around that like 87. Nope. Chopping around. AG, which should be on fire, right? If metals are going to go hot. Newmont, 37. I mean, look at this thing. It's just getting pounded. New lows. I mean, I thought this would hold the 40 area. Not so much. Again, it's hard to trust miners because they lead metals, y'all. Think about it. Like, they're leverage. Like, it's like MicroStrategy leading Bitcoin. It's the leverage version of this stuff. And look at PAAS breaking the 200-day. Please leave it alone. Be careful. Taiwan Semi, talking tech, gets a bounce. Not surprised. This one's confusing. This looks like a big chop range. I think there's just easier trades. We talked about like shorting Micron, right? 200 days always been a nightmare. This range high. Now, again, I expect tech to go lower. You break this low of the 85s. Arrivederci. AMD. A lot of people keep posting how valuable it is and how undervalued. I'm like, it's topped. It's got like the middle finger pattern with a head and shoulders, all sorts of fun things. Either way, I wouldn't touch semis with someone I hates money at this point. I like the shorts on. I've talked about this shorting NVIDIA. Every time it pops, I think longer term it has massive downside potential, especially as a multi-trillion-dollar company that's not even going to come close to those numbers. Again, it's like Tesla when it ran up in 2021 and then it pulled back. It was very obvious. Same thing here. 50-day, 100-day, wait below or watch below. If it breaks the 100-day, watch out below. Again, I love the short. SMCI, talked about how they were cooking the books, and then they announced that they approved their own numbers after laying off Ernst & Young. Good luck. I mean, this one's going to be tough, y'all. Intel, a lot of people always get mad at me. I say the thing's a piece of crap. I mean, it seems to be holding the 18s. I've seen wilder moves. You can, again, just like you can see crazy high numbers, you can see crazy low numbers. I don't know what the right value of Intel is, but I could see it going lower. SMH, big chop before the flop, in my opinion. Break the 200-day and look out below. Adobe, talked about this, like things you don't see if the market's strong, right? Gaps down on earnings, just even the last couple of days, it has no up. Apple, some folks took some shorts over the holiday week, looking pretty solid. Looking pretty solid here. Break the 20-day, look out below. I mean, it's got a lot of room to get back to 237 pretty quick. Amazon, we talked about this one holding up, hit the 1.618. Seems to be holding this 220 volt. Keep an eye on it. Again, I expect tech to pull back. Meta, again, I think tech will be the weakest of all the names. Kissing the ring, right, on DT. Watch the 50-day here. This level's been important. You can see it. It's just, man, will it break today, tomorrow, next week? I don't know. CRM, talked about this one gapping up on earnings being a blow off top, slowly trickling its way lower, in my opinion. Google, Great news on their next level chip. Seems to be holding at the high. This one's a little harder to short in my opinion. But again, if it fails up here, it just might take time. Should fail in my opinion if it's Tecker. Microsoft, look at this. Pops, fills the gap. Bam! All over the place. NDAQ, the folks who shorted this at 84 and the 1.618. I guess it's 83 and change. Nice work. Man, new lows. I mean, lagging like the whole week. Pops a little bit and gives it back. Oof, this looking juicy butt. Juicy butt. MicroStrategy. We talked about the anomaly blow off. Not the anomaly, but just the confirming the blow off. Talked about chopping around. Now it's taking out the range lows. I mean, this. People got really mad when I said, this thing does big up moves and then it consolidates. Seems to break the 50-day and then it hits the 100-day or close to it. Man, if you kind of reciprocate out the same kind of action, I mean, I'd be looking in the mid 200s. That's my guess. Let me close out these fibbies. Ugh. Because it looks like it's top now. Let's draw again. I'm just doing this for fun on the fly. I wonder where the 0.618 is. Okay. Yeah, I'd be looking at what happens when we get, I would say essentially, I don't want this box. I know it's a big box, but we know how this thing rolls. It can be pretty wild. Keep an eye on it. Again, we talked about chop consolidation. Use the past, the marker for the future. That's what I'd be watching. Keep an eye on it. Man, maybe it just needs to fill the gap. I don't know. Maybe it's fill this gap. But again, either way, if you took the profits at the highs, now you're looking for dips, high five to you. And Netflix seems to be holding around the 20-day. Roblox, talked about this one, been holding up pretty well. Seems to be consolidating. Really can't say much. Pan W. Again, I like this lower for the long term. I think, like especially pedo blocks, I think there's more value in it if it's cheaper. I know someone will buy it out. Talk about cybersecurity names, chop top. Again, things you don't see in a strong market where you break out and you give it back. 100-day has been important, so see what happens here. Tesla, this thing went bonkers. We talked about taking profits. Oh, man. Right? Look at that. And again, 20-day seems to be holding this 415. If it doesn't, this is what I tell people. This is why trading is important. When you go from 138 up to 488 after this big up move, so like there's wave 1, wave 2, consolidate, and boom, wave 3. I mean, you just don't expect straight line moves. Now it needs to consolidate. Let it consolidate. Play the game. I don't know where the weakness brings you back to, but maybe it's this 360 area. It's the 50-day. Either way, it's a great trade. Now you should be taking profits and watching, but most people won't, and they'll either give it all up or hope for 1,000. And hits 1,000, congrats. If it pulls back, you missed the mistake. You missed the mark again. Take profits, trade around it. Insight, we like this one. I think at some point they get bought out. Let it pull back. Palantir, this thing went nuts. Made new highs last week. Feels like a little trap. Trap. We'll see what happens up here. 20 days been key. Again, I'd rather short the trap, breakout, fake out, but watch the 80 level. Again, this thing has been a beast. McDonald's, we've talked about this one. Stuck nowhere, going fast. DKNG, again, if you short it up in the mid 40s. I got a lot of flack for this. I'm like, okay, guys. New lows, you're welcome. New lows. Again, I think there's nothing out of the realm of possibility. It says you can't get back down to 35. Nothing says you can't get back down into this 30 area as well. A lot of big zones. I mean, again, I talk about the upside potentials priced in, y'all. You'll get so mad. Airbnb, going nowhere. Not really much to say. Costco. We said that day when it hit the 1,000, it was ominous and chopping up there. Yep, starting to weaken out. Starbucks, this thing gave it all back. Meaning like this up move. And breaks out, giving it back. Man, I don't trust Starbucks. Even if they have a new management. FedEx, we talked about this one shorting post earnings. Gap up. Okay. Man, I'd be watching the mid 280, see what happens there. Again, I still think it's going lower in time. Caterpillar. We talked about this chop top failure, 200-day. I mean, again, days when the market's up, look at the light volume. Not much. Holds a 200-day, cool. If it doesn't, DE, we talked about this was a great trade from the mid 3s. Gets up to the upper 4s. Man, a lot of stuff pulling back to the breakouts. See what happens here. See what happens when it gets that 420 area. New core again. Steel names should be on fire, right? Meh. Volume is a little. I mean, again, I guess that's OPEX. Things you don't see if the economy's strong, y'all. Valero, sorry, X, and then we'll go to Vale. I mean, again, chopping around. I think it gets bought out, but I'd be waiting for the 20s if you get it. Vale, new lows, not acting right. Arrow, talked about this one. Don't want to try to pick the bottom. We're at the old trend line. I don't know. I'd love to see it lower prices again. I think when tech finally dies and then they start piling into this stuff, it'll be good. CCJ, uranium at 13-month low prices. Keep an eye out. This thing brings 50. It could get ugly fast. I don't know why you wouldn't get back down to this 36, 38 area, especially if the market weakness. CF, again, we like ag names, but just no reason to touch. No touchy. Let them chop around. Let them break new lows. Who gives a shit? Nothing. AA Aeron. Again, we like aluminum. Let it pull back. Like aluminum a lot. XLF, talked about this today. Dead cat bounce up to the 50-day. Chopping around. I think banks hold all the bags. We'll see what happens here. JP Mo, talked about this one, right? Bounce, 20-day, curling down finally. Looks like that's the short there at the 20-day. Morgan Stanley, same kind of thing. Again, when the 20-day is curling down, the first bounce to it is usually a good short point. Bank of America, a laggard completely. It's got nothing. Goldman Sachs, I think this one's holding up better than most. Chop around. Keep an eye on it. Carry, got some dead cat bounce last week, but barely any, right? Keep an eye on it. 100-day is crucial before the next flop. XBI, again, we talked about these names being a very, risk-on economic name, especially if rates are supposedly going lower. These things have gotten just flushed. I don't know why you wouldn't go back into the 60s or 70s at some point. Then I'd be all on it. Jets, Benny and the Jets. Seems to be holding really well. I'm surprised. Watch the 20-day. XHB, we talked about housing index not looking so hot, right? Making new lows today. Yikes. Again, things you don't see if the market's strong. XRT, right? Starting to fail back into the range highs post, which should be, obviously you get holiday weeks. So you expect retail to bounce. Not so much. All right, let's end it with the solar names and oil. Solar just has just been a freaking train wreck. It just chops around at the lows. Sedge, same thing. Again, I don't believe in oil. If you believe in oil and gas long term, which I do, you also need to believe that oil and gas pulling back, if they get flushed, will pull solar to the dirt ground. You're not there yet, in my opinion. Just let them play out. HYG, chopping around. Again, you got to be out of your mind to buy corporate debt. Oil seems to be holding that 66 level. Little doji today, again, ominous here. I wouldn't be surprised if oil pulls back. Natty gas, nice bounce back up to the highs. Look at the UNG. Oof. KLD was the short. Talk about the 80s. Hopefully you took some profits in the 50s. You're back down here. You go from 80s down to 30s. Please take some profit. Please, XOP, we talked about needing to hold the mid 120s. Seems to be, but man, I don't trust it. ExxonMobil, we've talked about this one, should be breaking out the new highs at some point. Making new lows. Chopping. We talked about CBE. I like junior gas names. Just doesn't give me much, right? Range low in it. Valero, oil and gas names. Chopping around. They should be leading up. They seem to be leading down. Look at them just making new lows. Occidental, again, Buffett supposedly has a $2 billion loss on this, but I feel like he's probably raked in $50 billion in covered calls. Just my guess. Maybe not 50, but 10 to 15. So, again, I like this name, but just let it play out. EQT bounces back up towards the range highs today. Little hammer. Does it hold? Keep an eye on that. It's just a big chop zone. 46. Can it make new highs? We'll see. Last but not least, Flex LNG. I think we'll be natural gas exporter. So, keep an eye on this stuff. I personally, again, I'd leave it alone. I like materials long term. I don't want to chase them. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Always here to help. Love you guys. Appreciate all the support, generous donations. You guys are amazing. Hopefully you're having a great holiday week. And again, just be careful. I think you should get maybe some more down or chop and then a pop on Thursday. And then after that, you get that Friday. So it's almost feeling like January 6th is when the day start, like the trading will start. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Know your levels, define your risk, be smart. Hit me up if you have questions. Peace. Hey, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, stop by the Discord room. A link is in the description below. Also, if you'd like to help support more free content, the PayPal link is in the description as well. I appreciate your continued support of the channel.